I'd like to think of life as some sort of paradise, following my friends into the deep end. The water is cold and the sand is too hot, but if I don't go, it'll be overnight. So suck it up, we'll be fine, we're going on life's wild ride, making a name for ourselves. Here we are, this is me, fighting with originality. I'm gonna make the whole world sing a thing.
Oh. Oh, all these hats are so nice looking. They would never look good on me.
What are you talking about? That's no attitude to have. Here, put it on.
Huh? Well, how does it look?
It looks like we definitely have to buy it now.
Hi, I'm Bloodthing. And I'm me. And we got an assignment to make a video about the principles of design.
Because we're sellouts.
What? No. No, we just love art.
Not me.
Shushi. The first element of design is...
Let me do it.
So, art is like the expression of thoughts, feelings, and ideas. They can be expressed through these things called the principles of design. Using these helps make your art more pretty, flowing, balanced, or even pretentious.
Oops. Hello there, friends. It's me, your very own personal Bloody Buddy, talking to you about games and dollies and giving virtual hugs and friendships to all you nice people out there. Or, well, at least I hope. I recently realized most of my views were coming from me clicking on the video over and over again to check the view count. I stopped doing that and the last video didn't get any. So, I hope all you are real and not imaginary. Even if you are imaginary though, it's okay. I still love you. Warn everyone before I get too far into this. This video might not be as happy as some of my other videos. As you can see, my stuffy got all torn up. I was gonna ask Takara if she could fix it, but she left for work yesterday. So, instead of using Theodorable like usual, I'm gonna have to actually show you my face this time. I really don't want to have to show myself. I'm a disgusting abomination after all. But I've been thinking about things a lot, and I feel like this is kind of important for me to do.
Good evening. If you're just joining us, we are mere moments away from today's presidential press conference / State of the Punyan address. The air is absolutely buzzing with excitement, not just for all the new reveals and announcements we're sure to get over the course of the presentation, but because this event is also being held on the anniversary of his historic inauguration. However, there is an issue we need to attend to first. Many of our loyal viewers have been wondering why Rashida Kazuna has been absent from the program as of late. We wanted to take some time before releasing any kind of statement, to make sure we had all the facts of the situation. But alas, it appears to be the worst case scenario. Colonoscopades. Now with that out of the way, back to our main story. After a several-month change of venue, Awesome Sauce 4267 will return to his standard conference hall for tonight's event. For those unaware, the past several conferences had been held instead at a location of his choosing, that he felt more comfortable at. With such an historic anniversary on the horizon, we hope you at home will join us as we take a look back at the events that brought us all to the based gamertopia we live in today. It was the final few months leading up to the election. From the vast field of candidates, the race had been whittled down to just 3 remaining contenders. Now, obviously, political parties, elections, and democracies are all dated anachronistic concepts that we don't have time to explain for anyone at home watching too young to remember. Kids, ask your parents. The 3 candidates left in the race were Astaire Farah Issa Sedeum, Awesome Sauce 4267, and a mummy. Bite Nero ran under the Establishment Party. Astaire ran under the Progressive Party. And Awesome Sauce ran under the Penis Party podcast. Awesome Sauce was ahead, but not by too substantial a margin, with Astaire following directly behind. Truly, it was believed to have been anyone's game at that point. 3 months before election night, Astaire took to the stage at a small rally in Kodantu to deliver an impassioned speech, pleading for an end to division, demanding an end to hate, and calling for a new era of peace between all species of all nations. The speech was so powerful, so beautiful, and so impactful that it changed the minds of everyone who heard it, regardless of their political affiliation. Men, women, children, the venue's janitorial staff, even nearby wildlife were said to be overwhelmed with emotion. It was considered the single greatest, most convincing political speech ever heard. However, later that night, Astaire would go in for surgery to remove a malignant face tumor on her nose that had affected her all her life. After the tumor was safely removed, Astaire became debilitatingly self-conscious about public images taken pre-removal. This led her to making the drastic decision to wipe her entire media history up to that point from public record, so no one could see what she used to look like. Social media, policy proposals, campaign slogans, public debate footage, and of course, the previous night's speech, all now considered lost to time. This severe action completely kneecapped Astaire's ability to campaign moving forward. In future public appearances, she would regularly make callbacks and allusions to her past statements that were no longer publicly available. This led to independents and undecideds being deeply confused whenever Astaire was given the mic in public debates from that point on. It is widely speculated by political historians and doctors of journalism that if Astaire had not done this, they might have changed the world. All that exists of that rally in Kodantu are a few candid pictures and fragments in the memories of the people in attendance that night. After a massive drop in the polls, Astaire's campaign came up with a compromise to their delete everything policy. They began to release shot-for-shot recreations of all Astaire's old public appearances, obviously starting from the beginning for continuity's sake, with a shot-on-location remake of their original fetal ultrasound video. They continued releasing recreations in order, making it all the way up to their primary school Kirk Fu recital, before being forced into hiding when President Awesome Sauce ordered the execution of all his political opponents under Order 69. Bite Nero was taken into custody. However, he could not be executed, as it was discovered that he could not die. Upon further research, it was found that he was immortal, and the secret to everlasting life was within his DNA. This key to immortality was quickly extracted and injected into President Awesome Sauce. He then copyrighted the molecular sequence required to recreate the immortality serum, and discarded all remaining vials. Bite Nero was then frozen in amber and placed deep underground in an unknown location. Oh, will you look at that? Looks like we'll have to cut this trip down memory lane short. The conference seems to be starting early. So sit back, relax, grab a glass of milk, and as always, the presidential address contains strong language, violence, and some adult situations. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
How's it going, my dudes? Oh, man, how's it going, my dudes? My name is Wilderness, and you just entered
The Sting Zone.
grabbing feet without permission, getting the no-scopes, maxing out my power level, and cutting funding to Sid's research like a boss. Oh. What a year it's been. This year alone, I have single-handedly wiped out the rest of the Kyurins. I think that deserves... Yeah, not to get sentimental, but when I think back on that historic victory, oh, it makes me come. What? Let's not dwell in the past. It is a new year, and a new year needs a new campaign slogan. Who's in the mood for a clip show? Ah, yes. Now don't you reporters get any smart-ass ideas like trying to ask me questions. Your purpose is to make me look good. Like the sexy anorexic girl laying in bed with the fast food in the commercials.
Come inside me.
Just sit there and applaud to make me look powerful. Okay? 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 Pause! You get to meet my sexy new assistant. Earlier this year, we had what is possibly the greatest moment in all of recorded history, which was ending the war and eliminating the Kyurin people.
Are there any plans to supply aid to the survivors of the Norm raid?
Nothing happened in Norham. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. That was 3 weeks ago. Get over it.
Why did you have the Air Force return after the battle was over to drop additional bombs on the first responders?
CGI! That never happened. You can do anything with computers nowadays. I can Photoshop your face onto a hot bikini body and then come to it. I know that because I have done so.
Do you condemn the actions of the bordering city-states that opened fire on Norham refugees seeking asylum?
That is a states' rights issue. Oh, what the... Gabe! You're not supposed to show what they're talking about on the screen, just what I'm talking about, okay? We need to get in sync here.
They voted for you. It's your responsibility to protect the refugees, because they're refugees that you created. You bombed their homes. They were your fellow
They're
citizens.
not our fellow anything. They're not refugees, you bleeding c***. I wish I had some way to tune out on the reaction. Luckily, that brings us right to the sponsor for this night's presidential address. Global Conquest noise-cancelling earphones. Just use the offer code Hot Beef Injection to get 96% off your next order. That is NINTEYSIX. Now, on with the address. I think I heard someone say the word immigration, which is a great excuse to talk about that instead. A glorious men in uniform have been cracking down on the creeping darkness that is entering our country on a scale that you wouldn't even believe. Once rounded up, the illegals are taken to a vocational training. If the mother is pregnant, she is given an immediate C-section, and the baby is placed in an incubator in our custody. Illegal babies are tried as adults and then extradited to their home country via catapult.
So reports have been coming out about the director of the internment camp.
You get the button. They're not internment camps. They're vocational training camps.
There are visible smokestacks.
Savages! All of you savages! I'll have you know that our brave, morally upstanding Border Patrol officers have written an open letter saying they would prefer it if you stop calling the immigrant detention one-way spas furnaces. Words hurt, you know? Sorry. Alright, back to the fucking thing. In addition to the aforementioned efforts, we have also begun to set up a task force to begin to curtail the massive amount of illegal immigration in this country.
Also?
Emigration. People leaving the country illegally. This is the greatest country in the history of the universe, and I will not have my people flee to a bunch of shithouse countries and make me look bad. All of you are staying here. You're not allowed to leave. Hey, mid-roll time. Mid-roll time. Maybe right back.
It's hard to see things like this and believe the world can ever get better.
Don't worry, Blitzing. Anything is possible with the power of hope.
But he's already been elected. There's nothing we can do.
Wait, maybe if I hope hard enough, I can change the past and convince people not to stand by and let guys like him get elected, erasing our timeline in the process.
Bye. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye, everyone. You want to say bye-bye, kitty? Bye-bye. Come on, let's go to bed.
Somewhere in the vastness of space, on a planet far, far away, a small creature is awoken from its midday nap. A strong vibrating sensation rattles throughout this creature's skull until an antenna violently protrudes out of the top of its head. It seems as though your plan to get him to eat your mind control device was a success. Who knew it would be so easy to get him to eat electronic devices? You didn't even need to figure out a way to wrap it in cheese or anything. You suppose during your control of this creature, you should probably make sure it doesn't do anything like that again. That's probably not good for it. And it won't be a very good pawn if it dies or something. Alright, cool. Looks like you have control of this stupid creature. He seems to answer to the name Blood Thing, which is very convenient because that's what you've been calling him anyway when you were planning this operation. What do you want him to do? Come on. Blood Thing, dance for your new master, then look around. The creature does whatever this is. You realize now a fundamental flaw with your plan of hijacking an alien that is a weirdo in his society. Without context, it will be a little difficult to tell if he's doing something wrong, or if this is just a cultural difference. Regardless, he vibrates vigorously per your request, drenching the bathtub in blood. Speaking of the bathtub, he looks around, but there's not much to see currently. He's surrounded by a frankly pitiful display of belongings and possessions. A measuring glass, a toy anchor, a rock, and what looks like, what can't possibly be, a Nokia N-Gage? You reckon that if you want to get a better look of the environment, you're going to have to get out of the bathtub first. What do you want him to do? Command. Blood Thing, go to an art museum and steal your favorite piece. Yes, this will do nicely. This is some real dastardly shit. Your mind starts racing as to what would be the best type of thing to yoink. Do you go for a priceless piece of art that could be laundered for a large amount of money? Or do you steal something more practical, like an avant-garde arrangement of bricks, something you could use to fence in the garden in the backyard? First things first though, time to get out of this tub. You try to scale the walls of the tub, only to realize that your vigorous dancing from before has made it all slippery. This will not do. How do you even get out of this thing? Wait a minute, what's that? Is that a garden hose that has been stapled to the ceiling? This thing doesn't actually have a faucet. It's kind of depressing, actually. It appears to be within reach at the very least. What do you want him to do? Command. That thing. Use the N-Gage to phone a friend. Yes. The Nokia N-Gage. The Madam Web of cell phones. You would consider checking to see what game is inside, but you would have to remove the battery in order to do so, and the incredibly wet creature you're controlling would most likely electrocute itself. Alright, let's look at his call log to see who he calls most frequently. Well, this is a mess. He answers practically all the spam calls he gets. One of these conversations lasted 2 hours. His contacts list consists of Takara, his roommate, His mom? Eston, one of his bullies? Miller, one of his teachers. This number seems inappropriate for him to have. My bullies. And Puddles. Should we try to call one of these numbers for help, or should we attempt to get out of this predicament ourselves? Command. Bloodthing. Fart. You wonder exactly how granular the control is that you have over this creature. Like, can you force it to fart? Interesting question, but I think we can all agree that's a train of thought best not pursued. You immediately attempt to force him to fart. Your plan seems to be a success, because he is now hunched over in pain trying his best not to shit himself. This is not the simple fart on command style gameplay you've come to expect from a game in the Oddworld series. You're starting to worry about the long-term consequences of this decision. Like, if he farts while he is still in the tub, will the gas just stay in there with him? Or will it float up? Let's see, well, there is a drain in the corner of the tub. Maybe you could use it as a fart hole? If gas indeed sinks rather than rises. Okay, the deed is done. Ew! Good lord, what does he eat? Apparently computer chips. He looks squeezy. Hopefully he doesn't vomit or something. You feel unhappy with the current state of the experiment, but this can still be salvaged if you get him out of the tub. You guess. Maybe you could use him to look around and find someone better to control. What should he do next? Command. Bloodthing, get me a chicken sandwich and some waffle fries. He doesn't seem to know what any of that means. It looks like this thing works by Death Note rules, not Heaven's Door rules. He cannot summon knowledge he does not possess. You decide to take this little fucker to grade school and explain what a chicken is. You start by saying that a chicken is a thing that lays eggs. You are then made rather uncomfortable when he responds by saying that he thinks he knows a couple people who might be able to lay eggs. You decide that this might not be worth the effort. On top of the already Herculean task that would be explaining the entire process of making a chicken sandwich and some waffle fries to a being that could barely even comprehend the concept of bread, much less an entire sandwich, it would be even more of an insurmountable goal to get him to create some kind of multi-dimensional portal to bring you said chicken sandwich and waffle fries. Your selfishness and greed truly know no bounds. Shame on you for trying to force such a pitiful little creature to do your bidding to such an impossible standard. Now, if he brought some fly alien honeys to the portal with him and some chicken, then it might be worth the effort of having him come here. I see how this could work. He won't be getting any positive attention with that stink on him though. He needs to wash up first. If only he was in a bathtub. Command. Bloodthing, exit the bathtub carefully, but bring the toy anchor for morale. Okay, you think it's finally time to get out of the fart tub. But first, you think you should pick out at least one of these toys to bring on your journey so that he doesn't get homesick. He seems to sleep next to this anchor, so you order him to grab that. Jesus Christ, this thing is heavy! He can barely lift it! You thought it was just a plastic toy, but in reality it's a true, honest-to-God, fully functional, fun-sized boat anchor. Well, you suppose it doesn't matter to you if it's heavy, it's not your back being broken. Alright, you little freak monkey, climb that garden hose. That anchor is really weighing the little guy down. After struggling to climb only a foot up the hose, he can no longer bear the weight and drops it. I guess I'll have to bring another keepsake along instead. Maybe one of his friends' skulls. Ka-thunk! The anchor drops like a lead balloon to the bottom of the ancient bathtub, shattering its undercarriage and scattering porcelain shards and the pitiful selection of toys across the bathroom floor. Doesn't look like you'll need to scale this rope anymore. You can probably just jump down through the newly created hole in the tub, lay down on the floor and squeeze your way out. This seems mildly fortuitous, however this definitely rules out any possibility of taking a shower/bath. Just throw the twerp in the acid bath of the Grand Canyon when he gets to Earth. Wait, you hear something? It sounds like a noise from downstairs. It looks like the anchor didn't just shatter the bottom of the tub, it also went right through the floor. The floor must be made of a much sturdier material, because the hole it punched through the floor is barely larger than the anchor itself. Oh god, someone else is home. It sounds like it's a sister-mom thing. You didn't expect witnesses to your very cool brain heist. Oh god, she's coming upstairs to check on you. End of Act 1.
So recently I was going back through my oldest concept sketches for Blood Thing, and I was reminded of a brief period when I was developing the character as a t-shirt mascot sort of thing, instead of what the series is now, which is an elaborate form of self-harm. Originally I wasn't really sure what I wanted the character to be, and I briefly considered making him just like a Pawn and Z type character, or like Happy Bunny or something like that. Looking at them again, a lot of them are really dumb and bad, but a couple of them I thought were still mildly cute, so I thought I'd redraw them and put them on a Redbubble store. Obviously I know no one will ever buy them, but, you know, having a character I designed on a t-shirt is a bucket list item. And doing that now is a lot easier than it used to be.
I'd like to think of life as some sort of paradise, following my friends into the deep end. The water is cold and the sand is too hot, but if I don't go, it'll be overnight. So suck it up, we'll be fine, we're going on life's wild ride, making a name for ourselves. Here we are, this is me, fighting with originality. I'm gonna make the whole world sing. Blood Thing.
No, this can't. No. Naomi, you gotta hear this. They're going to start putting content warnings before movies now. Movies. Films and television shows will now be given a letter rating, suggesting a recommended audience age for the purposes of parental discretion. This warning will also list the film's treatment of issues such as sex, violence, and substance abuse, its use of profanity, or other matters typically deemed unsuitable for children or adolescents. This is where we're at now.
Well, you know the playoffs aren't for a couple of weeks. They could still turn it around.
What?
Oh, I mean, it must be very hard for you.
It's hard for the
My
kids.
head.
How are they going to have the patience to accomplish anything of value if we're putting warnings before things that are hard or giving them the option to leave? There wasn't a content warning when you were conscripted into the military. They'd put you in a tank, point you at a hospital, and tell you they'd kill your family if you didn't blow it up. Remember, this is a government agency doing this. We're getting entirely too dependent on the government. Please.
Wait, you have one too? Was it something we ate?
You are about to be tested. No, you are not hearing things. I I'm also speaking to the person next to you, and every man, woman, child, and individual within a 100-mile radius, simultaneously in every language spoken in your area.
Fuck, dude, will somebody get this fucking edgelord voice change? Really pissing me off. Really pissing me off.
I imagine right now you are most likely wondering who or what I am, but that is the least of your concerns, because soon
slow down.
you will have to make a choice. Look beside you. You will see a button. Well, if you have one, it can be activated by you and you alone. At sundown tonight, 100,000 of you will die, but it can be prevented if you and everyone else presses their button. That is all.
Wait. We should check the news.
In the remote region of Norham, an area previously most well known for rectal yodeling, a phenomenon of auditory hallucinations followed by the appearance of strange small buttons has been causing quite the uproar. At first, the idea of mass hysteria was proposed as a possible explanation, but if the so far nearly 500 identical first-hand accounts weren't proof enough, the current scientific consensus is that the buttons are actually capable of what this mysterious voice has threatened. Rashida Kazuna has more at Jenner Pasture Science Institute.
The material making up the outer casing of the button is a complete mystery and is seemingly impenetrable, at least against any penetration method currently known to modern science. However, the inner machinations of the device are deceptively simple. Using a basic X-ray machine, researchers have discovered that the buttons are essentially nothing more than a countdown timer and a device capable of sending out a very special type of pulse. The current hypothesis from all available information is, at some time around sundown tonight, a neurological version of an electromagnetic pulse, also commonly known as an NMP, will be sent out from an unknown location. Instead of electrical equipment being affected, this pulse attacks the brains of its targets, completely destroying its normal functioning. This pulse has the potential to cause incalculable loss of life, and according to reports, the voice has stated the target to be 100,000, a pretty substantial percentage of the region's population. However, if all of the buttons are activated by that time, they will unanimously emit a neutralizing counterpulse to the neurological EMP, theoretically nullifying the effects and protecting the person holding it. Unfortunately, this last-minute life-saving scenario will only happen if all of the buttons are pressed. The devices are all connected via their own inaccessible private network, and are constantly performing checks on the press status of all other buttons on the network. If a single one of them has not been activated by their owner by sundown, the protective counterpulse will not be sent to anyone, causing unimaginable devastation.
It's recommended that all citizens in the area evacuate to Katerius Park, where a presentation will be conducted with further information.
God, you carefully lay out your plans for the day, and something like this fucks you in the ass.
So, is I have other stuff I need to do right now basically your catchphrase at this point?
Well, if it is, then your catchphrase is being gay. Hey, how we doing back there?
Sorry.
Are we gonna be okay, Big Brother?
Look.
I told you to stop dragging your feet while you walk!
The president has yet to make a formal statement on the matter. However, he has not declared a state of emergency, much to the chagrin of the alarmists heralding this as some type of mass public health crisis. What he has done is fight any attempts to make the evacuation mandatory, as not to encroach on the personal freedoms of those affected.
Coming up next, an epidemic of teen pregnancy on the rise. The mainstream would have you believe this proves teens still have active social lives and aren't just sitting at home texting all day. But we have our own, much darker theory. Stay tuned.
Well, everyone who wanted to attend is most likely here by now. And as time is of the essence, we should probably get started. afternoon. My name is Arna, and this is my assistant Kashan. We're environmental scientists. We were in the area when the event happened, and it affected us as well. As you can see, we've also brought our buttons with us.
We were investigating reports of alleged tampering with the local water supply.
Don't tell them that. They already have enough to worry about.
Yeah, I took a piss in it.
An important discovery to note about the inner workings of the buttons is that they are DNA locked to each individual. You'll see that when I apply gentle pressure to mine, it moves. However, if I take my colleague's button and try to press it in, you can see that it will not budge. This indicates that they cannot be pressed by anyone other than their designated owner. As a demonstration of what happens when considerably more force is applied, we will try to smash it down using this oversized, limited edition video game controller shaped like a hammer.
Criminal scum, you violated the law. Stop. You will pay in blood.
As you'll see, it's still in its fully protruded, unpressed form.
You don't need to clap, honey. That wasn't a magic trick.
So, as of right now, we only have 5 hours left until the pulse is threatened to occur. And the sooner that everyone activates their buttons, the sooner you can all go back to your day. As stated earlier, we brought ours along, and that wasn't just for demonstration purposes. It's completely natural to be a little uneasy in the face of something so terrifying. So, to lead by example, the two of us will be the first to press ours, here, in front of everyone. We do this in hopes to determine that this is not a trap, a trick, or a prank being collectively pulled on all of us. We also hope that us going first will convince all remaining skeptics of the imperativeness of pressing your buttons in turn.
Showing the same thing over and over again can illustrate familiarity or something.
I'm done.
What the heck are those things? Penguins. It's repetition because even though they're in different hats, they're all still penguins. And what does it symbolize? I don't know, divorce? Whatever, let's just do the next principle. Okay, next. Pattern. Oh, your tie! Your sexy tie is like a pattern because it's black, and then it's blue, and then it's black, and it's blue, and it never changes from that. Patterns are super pretty, and creates unity. Yeah. You're grumpy. I'm just sick, I have a sore throat. Is that why you sound like a different person? Yes, and the camera is running out of batteries. Aw, well, bye-bye. Wait, plug our videos. Alright, go to YouTube and look up Blood Thing episode.
I'm going to do a commentary track on another failed project of mine. So, SOML. This was my first, real, serious project, after no longer being a child. I'd always been trying to figure out what my, TV show was going to be. I always knew that I wanted to make an animated series. So I had, a bunch of ideas as a kid. I had an idea for, a praying mantis that was, a secret agent. I had an idea for a traditional, adult animated sitcom type thing, but for some reason it's, Little House on the Prairie times. And they also are the only humans in an all-animal town. I wonder what show I was watching then. It's clearly the Cartoon Network show Animal Crossing. I was constantly trying to figure out what my thing would be. What would be, my, The Simpsons, or my The Family Guy. I was, grinding away and making little comics in middle school, hoping someday to make an animated series. Oh god, there's so much to explain here. When I was in like 6th grade, I wrote this comic called The Village Idiot. These characters were in a knockoff of Jackass that was made for the Fox network. And in the early issues, I would write the little Fox logo at the bottom corner. Unfortunately, none of these comics are in my possession. They all got given to my writing partner in school. In the 6th grade, we had this thing where we had to, every couple of months, turn in some type of creative writing project, and we were allowed to partner up. Me and this other guy wrote like a humor magazine. But I was really lazy. I just wanted to do like one series in the magazine, and then maybe I'd do some other various drawings throughout the course of it. My series that I was working on was called The Village Idiot, and it starred Bob and Tack. I don't know how old they were supposed to be. They were probably supposed to be whatever my age was at the time. Those characters like stuck with me for a while. I kept thinking that I could try to like make something out of The Village Idiot. There wasn't really much there. There was no like blood to be like drawn from that stone. However, there were 3 things that made it all the way into like SOML and Never Thought I'd Live This Long, if that's what I'm going to call it, which are Bob, who became Andy, Tack, who is still Tack, and then Sarah, who is Tack's older brother. I don't have any of the original Village Idiot comics except for one that my writing partner said that I couldn't put it in because there was too much shit in the magazine already. At first, like, there was like a Georgian Herald, Captain Underpants style. Maybe we could actually sell these comics around the playground. That would have went really poorly, I think.
Alright, I'm cutting in here. After debating whether or not I wanted to do it, I am pulling out the only surviving Village Idiot comic from its original run, the rejected comic that did not get put in the magazine. So to recap, in case I like cut this out and show this on its own at some point later on, The Village Idiot stars Bob and Tack, and like I said earlier, if you are watching this in the documentary thing about the history of SOML, it is a ripoff of Jackass made for the Fox network. And the reason I thought this is funny is because every Fox sitcom likes to make fun of the Fox network. Countless jokes in Family Guy and The Simpsons and Futurama just about like how much Fox sucks. This is like very clearly like a child like not really getting the joke or whatever, that they're taking shots at the network that they are like on. If I make jokes about how like Fox is cheap and bad, it doesn't really like register the same way. It's not really the same. Anyways, I keep it in this folder of school stuff from the year that this came out. I don't know what year this is. It was the year that I was in 6th grade. Do you remember what year I'm in 6th grade, anyone? This folder is funny. It's labeled Teacher, Parent, Communicator. So clearly it's not being used for its intended purpose currently. The front of this folder has an absolutely horrible piece of fan art, and the back of it is very funny because another piece of fan art is included. But this one isn't by me. This one is by one of my friends in school at the time. And the gulf in artistic talent between me and like the other people who are actually interested in art at the time is astounding. Like, this is something that I would not be able to make today, and this person was in 6th grade when they made it. But let's get into this. I'm thinking I might try to read this live. This is the only surviving comic of The Village Idiot, possibly. The other stuff is at my co-writer's house, who is someone I don't really talk to anymore. I did try to communicate with him on Facebook and see if he could find the old Village Idiot stuff. I don't remember what he said, but I assume it was something along the lines of, I'm not sure if I would even have something like that anymore. So we start out with an establishing shot of a movie theater. There's some trigger warnings I need to put here. There are going to be bad movie opinions in here. Now, I did not remember how bad Tack's original design is. This is like really weird to look at. He looks like a Magoozy character. Okay, so Tack, it says, what should we see? And then the final poster is for Aqua Teen Hunger Force the film for theaters and television. NFK. Oh, not for kids. Okay, that probably means not for kids. And he's like, that one. Hey, dude, I need a ticket for ATHFC/MFFT. On his shirt, it says El Mundo es Loco, which is just what his shirt used to say. From the beginning, I wanted all the characters to have shirts with like words on them, just because I don't know, I like Beavis and Butthead. I thought that was a fun little detail in the show that like Beavis and Butthead have the AC/DC and Metallica shirts. Speaking of which, this nerd character horrible, just horrible. Like, every lame cliche of, like, a service worker, like a teenager with pimples, and then, I don't know why he has buck teeth, just imitating what I've seen on television. Squeaky voice teen ass knockoff, though I was probably also thinking of the squeaky voice teen ass knockoff from the South Park movie that serves a very similar purpose in not letting them into the theater. He says, you aren't allowed to see that movie, and then Andy says, who says? And then the guy replies, the MPAA, and then there's one panel is just crossed out. He says, but I need to see that movie. Oh no, I'm not going to read any of this. This is so cringe. TAC explodes because there are too many acronyms. And, his head explodes, his spine, it falls onto the ground somewhere, and then there's a kid with a street cone on his head. For some reason. I don't know what's being implied here. I hope this isn't, like, a joke about someone with a disability. I don't know who this kid with a street cone on his head is. And it's making me nervous. Anyways, I like the idea that he sees a spine and thinks it's a candy necklace. I think that's an okay little silly thing. I don't know why he's sideways in the next panel. That may be because he is dead from trying to eat it, or maybe it's just because I couldn't fit it in vertically. Have you met my friend Abraham Lincoln? I'm pretty sure this seems like a joke that I think I already made before, earlier in the comic, if I remember correctly, from a racist holiday episode, let's just say that. And then the guy says, security, the security guard just throws him, and then TAC is getting sewed up by, like, some type of nurse with a hair bun, but it looks like dog ears. And he says, how am I going to see that movie? Then we see Ashley, I think is her name. She's the Daria ripoff. Adrian? Oh, yeah. He calls her Adrian on accident. I had some real trouble getting these characters into these panels. The proportions on him in this shot are really strange. There's some unfunny shenanigans about him asking her to help get into that movie, which is weird. I don't know if she's supposed to be older than him. This is taking a while, and this is not funny. Why is there a UFO floating around? I was going to mention that earlier. There's a UFO floating around. Oh my god, he just sets her on fire. It's a more mimicking of similar types of jokes that I've seen in other things. I like this drawing where TAC is tied up into like a little bow. This is a very different type of show than I would make now. I don't know if this thing exists anymore. A lightsaber looking thing that like a theater personnel would like hold as they were like walking into a theater to check on things, and the sign just says, for those guys who go in the theaters and yell at people. Ashley gets the fire off of herself and onto the theater, and then for some reason the theater itself explodes. And you got me as to what happens there. There's an alien shooting at it, which I believe all this alien stuff is supposed to tie into the other episode, like I guess the last one to be quote unquote published, a thing where aliens invade, blah blah blah. Kaplooey Industries, a Time Warner Co. Yeah, that was awful. That was about as bad as I assumed it would be. And do you think I've improved? Let me know in the comments below.